All right, I'm going to start off with a movie because who doesn't want that at recess? My name is John Wolpert. I am the chair of the current chair, at least for a few more days, unless I get voted out, of the technical steering committee for the baseline protocol, which is a joint, one of the projects of a joint arrangement between the OASIS Open Standards body and the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. I'll go into a lot more detail on that project in a bit. What I want to talk about today is something that is near and dear to the baseline protocol community, which is getting large and growing. And that has to do with interop and synchronization of data and state between different systems of record run by different legally separate entities. I'm going to make the case for it right here in our first of our video series called Little Bit and Adventures in Little Bits Adventures, I guess.
Look there. Know what that is? Why, it's a brand new piece of information. Hi there, little one. I think I'll call you Bit. Bit is important. Bit represents real value, real things. We better put you somewhere safe, little Bit. There you go, into your own secure information management system run by the company that loves you. It used to be that Bit could live its whole life comfortably inside its own walled garden inside one company. Today, Bit's real power is how it's shared between different companies, letting them automate and synchronize their operations to produce goods and services together. For Bit to do its job, it needs to make sure that everyone has the same bits. Somehow, every copy of Bit needs to be in sync with the others. But here's the thing about bits. It's easy to change one without changing the other copies running on other machines. When this happens, bad things can happen. Production grinds to a halt. Payments get held up in disputes. Partnerships fall apart. Trust is smashed, and fortunes are ruined. Now, big companies with a lot of cash to spare have known for years how to keep Bit from running amok. But they all involved either making one machine the primary source of truth or spending capital on dedicated integration machines. All these methods created more information silos to manage. What a mess. Poor little Bit. A different approach is to keep bits in sync in a loosely coupled way. All the bits have to do is subscribe to the same spot on a common bulletin board, and they can be sure they're updating together as they should. A special cryptographic symbol called a proof is placed on the board so that Bit can stay in sync without exposing any information to anyone else that may have access. Done right, it's impossible for observers to know who is depositing proofs on the bulletin board, or even to discover rates of actual activity. There's nothing new about this design pattern, but until now, companies had to spend capital to set up these proprietary bulletin boards for every new set of partners. That's expensive. Unlike those old bespoke bulletin boards, the public blockchain is supremely tamper-resistant, which means Bit doesn't have to worry about someone changing or deleting the proof it's using to stay in sync. And remember, it does this without putting any actual information on any kind of blockchain. The industry standard for using the public blockchain this way is called the Baseline Protocol, and you can learn more about it here at baseline-protocol.org. Go there now and learn how to both liberate and protect your little bits.
So that's the lesson in the value of having a terrific designer on team for a standards body. All right, so let me run up to the top of this and we'll get the slideshow underway. I don't know if we're broadcasting yet or not, or are we? Good. All right, well, hi everybody out there in Zoom land or wherever they are. And it's good to see everybody here. I know it's a sparse room, but that's because we have all the seats spaced far apart. The baseline protocol is almost what is it? Almost 2 years. It's certainly a year and a half old now. It's it was voted one of the Oasis opens best new standards projects, as I recall. Did I get that right? The best. I like that even better. And what is it? It's a standard for universal verified state synchronization and multi-party coordination under zero knowledge. And if that sounds super boring, it was we deliberately intended for it to be super boring because we wanted to avoid all the hype around things like blockchain and NFTs or all that sort of thing. There is a little bit of a blockchain story in here, but I want to, especially for this crowd, I want to be careful to say this is about state synchronization and IT issues. It's not about cryptocurrencies or even private blockchains, which are, in my view, simply fancy shared databases. So the problem yesterday, we made a lot of money on BPM for single parties. Anybody here make a lot of money on that? I know I used to work for IBM. We made a lot of money on that stuff, right? Business process automation. You buy a company, they have a different system. You've got to get them to work together. You've got integration work to do. But that's all. A lot of that was inside a single entity. And now what we're seeing is a world that depends on global networks of large and small organizations working together. We've got multi-party workflow problems. Is anybody living with that? Living the life of that yet? Yes. I know I am. Well, the consequences of inconsistency get really big in multi-party workflows. I used to work for a big retailer, and my buddy who was a merch tells me the story about how he would call up a little vendor who was got lucky enough to put product on an end cap, and you'd call him up and say, "Where the heck's our product? It's not on our loading dock." And the company would say, "Well, what? It's supposed to be there 2 weeks from now." He's like, "I don't care when you think it's supposed to be here. I've got advertising. I've got end caps open. I've got people expecting to see your stuff on the rack. I've got an empty rack. So you will do whatever you have to get your stuff here tomorrow, or you don't have to do business with us anymore." Sound like a fun day for that vendor, right? Even if that vendor was right, doesn't matter, because the big retailer's database is always right? So that's a problem. Another kind of problem is where you have your retailer system says, well, that in this case, sorry, jumping forward to the next slide. So here you've got millions of dollars of make good, or you've got to spend a ton of money on expediting, or both, right? Anybody experienced the joy of that sort of experience before? Yeah, nods. There's another problem. I call it the coordination conundrum. We want to share, we have to share, but we can't share. You see this in everything. And this is where the punchline of all this is zero knowledge. Working coordination under zero knowledge is what I like to call it. And that is a rising form or area of cryptography, not cryptocurrency, but cryptography, born largely, or at least rising up on the back of things like blockchain work, but it's also separate from that. The zero knowledge work doesn't require blockchains, and it's not about blockchains, but blockchains tend to use them. Use it for scaling and other kinds of things under being able to do privacy. But what we need to be able to do is share, but we shouldn't share. We need everybody's inventory data to find where the bad radish is. Right? So you might have heard of like Walmart's food safety network. Well, it's a fairly trivial problem to find the contaminated produce if you have a big honeypot full of data with every company's inventory information in it.